Amethyst, if you are interested in the PlayStation AMD partnership, if you're interested in the PS6, there's a brand new video that we are going to be reacting to in this segment, in this live stream, where Mark Cerny sat down with AMD to discuss the future of Project Amethyst and this partnership. Okay, this is largely going to be impacting the PS6. The technology in this. We also know that Project Amethyst has resulted in PSSR will be getting an update. The FSR4 algorithm will be coming over to the PSSR on the PS5 Pro. So we are going to be watching this video and kind of reacting to it. If you like these kinds of videos and reactions, make sure and hit subscribe, make sure and hit like. We also do a lot of members content here, so consider becoming a member. Let's get into this.
We've been working on some seriously cool gaming tech with Sony, and I couldn't think of a better person to walk us through it than my good friend, Mark Cerny. Mark, thank you so much for coming out to Austin.
My pleasure.
I've asked Mark to join me to pop open the box and give you a peek at some of the gaming breakthroughs we've been working on together behind the scenes.
Yes, we've been busy, that's for sure. So today it seemed like it might be fun to share a bit about the brand new technologies being developed, starting with our collaboration under Project Amethyst to create the machine learning technologies of the future.
As every...
Now listen. I like Mark Cerny. I do. But like, he has such a way of speaking. Like, I'll be real with y'all. I'd be a little scared. Like, he does kind of seem like he could be a little scary. Like, I wouldn't want to make him angry. You know what I'm saying? So,
gamer knows it takes a complex set of system expertise to get your setup and games to deliver the highest possible experience. As we progress together, the future brings us to real-time physics, cinematic lighting, efficient asset streaming, and keeping everything in sync across a CPU and GPU with super low latency.
Now, I want you to listen very carefully to what he just said, okay? I have not pre-watched this, but that right there, he is absolutely casting a vision for what I said is going to happen with future technology, future consoles, future GPUs. I'm going to play this again, and I want you to really, really listen to what he is saying, okay? He is not talking about, man, we got to drive that resolution up, right? We got to drive that frame rate up. He is saying everything that I said they are going to focus on. They are going to focus on things within the world to raise the visual fidelity, real-time physics and lighting, right? This is about a visual lift more than like a resolution, native power, frames per second lift. This is where we're headed, okay? They're not trying to push that anymore. They're trying to push image quality lift. Listen again to what he says.
It's possible experience. As we progress together, the future brings us to real-time physics, cinematic lighting, efficient asset streaming, and keeping everything in sync across.
Those are your big three, right? Real-time physics, cinematic lighting, and what did he say? The assets?
Lighting. Efficient asset streaming.
Those are going to be your big three. I bet you they continue to like touch on those three throughout this relationship and throughout the marketing of the PS6. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button as you come in. We're reacting to this brand new video. Project Amethyst, likely really hitting at a lot of the technology that's going to be in the PS6.
And keeping everything in sync across a CPU and GPU with super low latency. Trying to brute force that with raw power alone just doesn't scale.
There it is. I told you. What did I tell you a week or two ago? I said when they start marketing this tech, they are going to speak against the idea that we just got to give you more raw power. And he just said it. I mean, he said it out loud. Like, that. This isn't about raw power anymore. That is absolutely not what the focus is. I told you this is where they were going to set their sights. This is the new landscape of how they're going to be talking about raising the visual fidelity, raising the image quality of games. All right, guys, as you're piling in, hit that thumbs up. Get us to our first 100 likes.
That's why we're combining traditional rasterization with neural acceleration. And machine learning isn't just a neat trick anymore. It's become a real tool for developers. Smarter pipelines, cleaner visuals, smoother gameplay, and more headroom to create the worlds we want to all get lost in. And that's what FSR is all about. FSR and PSR actually come from deep co-engineering between Sony and AMD. Co-engineering the neural networks that power both technologies. And going forward, more and more what you see on screen, the detail, the fidelity, the atmosphere, it will be touched or enhanced by ML. And
hang on, I want to respond to something in chat here. That is legitimately just fancy word talk for ray tracing, high resolutions, and physics engines being more dynamic. Nothing here is unique to gaming at all. You're shadowboxing. Nobody said this is unique to gaming. What I have been saying and what they are stressing is the future of the visual lift in gaming is not going to be raw power to give you 8K 240 frames per second. They're not focusing on that. They're focusing on raising what's happening in the game itself with the lighting, the physics. So the world itself and that fidelity feels better, looks cleaner. Okay, they're not pushing the old school marketing talk anymore. They're telling you with their whole chest, this is not about raw power. You're not buying frames and resolution anymore. You're buying an improved visual fidelity. You're buying an improved image quality. And like he said, giving you headroom for these worlds they want to create. FSR and PSSR, that's what they're designed to do. They're going to give you that headroom so that performance is not a question. You see what I'm saying? It's not a question. The performance will just sort of be assumed because your ML and your machine learning will be significantly helping with that, right? I just realized that we are not currently a monetized video. Let me update that right now. That is problematic. There we go. YouTube's going to be like, what did you do? It's because it was a member stream, so member streams are typically unmonetized. So, guys, do me a quick favor and smash that like button. Get us to our first 100 likes.
that means we're not just hitting new technical benchmarks. We're getting closer to the vision of the artists and creators behind the games.
And the challenge comes in how we implement these systems. The neural networks found in technologies like FSR and PSSR are incredibly demanding on the GPU. They're both computationally expensive and require speedy access to large amounts of memory. The nature of the GPU fights us here. It's made up of a large number of compute units, and problems are therefore typically broken up into bite-sized pieces to enable the individual compute units to tackle them. And there's a downside to that. Subdividing a problem can cause inefficiency or even force us to give up and find a different approach.
Exactly. And that challenge got us thinking, and what came out of it is something we're calling neural arrays.
Okay, before they talk about neural arrays, I want to read this in chat. Hey, Lono, after watching this video, I asked myself if Sony is dipping their toes into the GPU market, not make the GPU, but provide new innovation in software. They are 100% doing that, brother. Like, if you listen carefully to what AMD says in this video, he literally said that PSSR and FSR4 are co-engineered. And they said this before. One of the first results to come out of Project Amethyst is FSR4. Like, that lift, that benefit, that growth for AMD GPUs quite literally came because of this relationship. The relationship between these two companies is why that has happened. So again, you have to realize that that is their goal. Their goal is a symbiotic relationship long term between the two companies to say, we're going to bat this ball back and forth. We're going to mutually benefit from this relationship. FSR is going to improve. PSSR is going to improve. Ray tracing implementations going to improve. Their machine learning, their algorithms, all those things are going to improve. Excuse me, because they're working together. Cerny helped design parts of AMD GPUs that aren't even out yet, says Wired wrote. To make this work on PS6, they added the design to the next GPUs. Yeah, like, this is a match made in heaven, in my honest opinion. Like, I think this is a really exciting video. It's a little nerdy, it's a little geeky, but hey, we're all nerds and geeks here, aren't we? Like, I think this is really exciting because this is exactly the kind of relationship that's going to result in things like we've seen on the PS5 Pro. Being able to play Ghosts of Yote with global illumination or AC Shadows with global illumination and have almost flawless performance at 60 frames per second, like, that is the result of this relationship. Like, the PS5 Pro is sort of the first fruits of this relationship, and then FSR4 is in an equal playing field of like, hey, that's one of the first things to come out of this great relationship between these two companies.
Here's the idea. Instead of having a bunch of compute units all working on their own, we built a way for them to team up, to actually share data and process things together like a single focused AI engine. Now, we're not linking the entire GPU into one mega unit. That'll be a cable management nightmare. But we are connecting CUs with each shader engine in a smart, efficient way. And that changes the game for neural rendering. Bigger ML models, less overhead, more efficiency, and way more scalability as workloads grow.
Neural arrays will allow us to process a large chunk of the screen in one go. And the efficiencies that come from that are going to be a game changer as we begin to develop the next generation of upscaling and denoising technologies together.
With neural
The denoising is really important for PSSR in particular. If you guys remember, when PSSR was first implemented into the most recent Call of Duty, there were problems, and then the developers said they discovered some denoising that had to be done, and they fixed it. Ghost of Yote's Day 1 patch did the same thing. There was some weird elements and some denoising that had to be done with some flickering and some stuttering that was happening. And that was due to PSSR. And actually, if you watch the Digital Foundry breakdown, like PSSR was doing better in certain departments than the non-PSSR version. However, the denoising had to come later. So if they're getting better at that, that's going to be another thing that benefits. Anytime you're doing any kind of upscaling, that is one of the downfalls that you can have, is there can be almost like this noise, this flickering, this fuzziness, this it's almost like you can see like artifacting. These are all words people would use to describe it. Them improving on that and getting better at that. This is something that I've talked about a lot. I've said, listen, upscaling is the future, okay? If you don't like upscaling because you have like almost like this weird commitment or maybe even like an ideology that like native is best, I think native is becoming a fool's errand because of the raw power required to hit higher and higher thresholds of native resolution. AI upscalers are getting better and better and better to the point that it's going to trick your eye. I have theorized and said that in the future, you'll be buying handhelds that are getting you really, really great resolution through upscaling, and the overhead, or the headroom, I'm sorry, wrong word, the headroom that's acquired by using the upscaler will enable handhelds to hit better consistent frames while not actually showing you a crazy high resolution image. It will be an upscaled image, but if they get better, you won't know. You won't be able to tell. It's to the point where it's very difficult to tell if the upscaler is actually working, especially once you're in motion and moving around. Sure, you could take screenshots and you could zoom in on certain corners and certain elements and find those little tiny imperfections, but generally speaking, you're going to see a significant uptick in quality with these, and you'll have a hard time telling. I think they're going to continue to get better, and that's why they're talking about like the denoising and things like that, because that's one way that they can continue to trick your brain, because you're not going to be able to tell that it's happening.
Arrays, we're unlocking a whole new level of performance for ML, not just faster, but more capable. That means better FSR, better ray regeneration, and brand new ML power features we're just starting to imagine, all working in real time right on the GPU. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, I would imagine one of the next implementations that you're going to see with ML, which stands for machine learning, if you guys are hearing that, you're like, what the heck is ML? I think one of the next implementations of ML and AI is going to be with lighting. I think once those two things come together and start working together, if you can start to lower like the taxing nature of these lighting systems, and if you can do that with ML, right, that's going to be the next thing. Like as he's saying, like they're just starting to think of other things they can do with this. I think that's going to be one of the things they try to crack next is, okay, resolution's a huge taxing thing. You know, ML is significantly helping with upscaling. That gives you tons of headroom. If you can start to do the same thing with lighting systems, that's another landscape of headroom that you can procure for your engines and your games and your development. So thanks guys for being here. We're reacting to a brand new video today. This is likely pointing to technology that will be in the PS6. This is a Project Amethyst video with Mark Cerny and AMD. Do me a quick favor, smash the heck out of the like button and help us with our member goal on the week. We're trying to get to 500 before Friday night to unlock a Friday night stream with my wife.
As we look ahead, You also see dedicated innovations that bring cinematic rendering to an entirely new level.
Another area we've been focusing on has been ray tracing. When I look at its broad usage on PlayStation 5 for reflections, shadows, and global illumination, it's difficult to believe that it's been just 5 years since ray tracing was introduced.
Definitely, Mark. And now with path tracing becoming more central to real-time graphics, the demands on GPU just continue to grow.
Now, I want to respond to what Zubair is saying, I don't know how you could use ML for ray tracing. You need to trace rays. Somebody let me know if there is a way. I'm just going to spitball here, okay, Zubair. So the way that upscaling works, from a rough sort of layman's description of how it works, is there is a predictive nature about pixels and where they should be, correct? Like, it's essentially predicting and determining where there should be pixels, and it puts them there, okay? That's a very, very rough layman's explanation for how upscaling works. In my mind, that could be applied to path tracing and ray tracing, because you could predict where the ray, where the light, where the path is supposed to be. I'm not saying they're going to do it this way. I'm just imagining that that could be something that they attempt to do to lower the taxing nature of it. You could create a hierarchy of rays and paths and say some of these are more important than others, and these need to be real time. These other ones can be predicted through machine learning because maybe they're harder to see. Maybe they're not as detectable. Maybe they're at a lower level in the frame. Maybe they're out of the frame. I don't know. If your light sources are able to harness something that's being predictive through machine learning, it could potentially soften some of the weight that this puts onto the GPU. A lot. Again, I am not the tech guy. I'm just spitballing and thinking of how they could leverage it with the same way that they're doing with pixels. Omar says ray reconstruction. We already use ML for that. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, Tifa's in the background. You can see her there. She's hanging out. And a gifted member from TJ Love. Here, let me get this on the board. We have 212 for the week. We're at 213. We're a little behind on the goal. We're not even halfway to 500. We did miss a day this week, and that really hurts us. So make sure and check your renewals and your primes and everything. Especially you guys over there on Twitch. If you're watching over there, if you're watching on YouTube, I don't know if I did I lose my I'm not sure if I lost my Twitch chat or not. I haven't seen anybody chat in a while over there. No, it's just quiet over there. That's fine. Stay lurking if you want to stay lurking. I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose my chat with my combined chat app. So we're here. Okay, glad that you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. Let's keep watching.
That's why we've been pushing hard to go beyond the current approach to help developers bring even more realism and cinematic lighting into their games.
But the challenge is that the current approach has reached its limit. To perform ray tracing today, a shader program has to juggle two very different responsibilities. One is ray traversal, digging through complex data structures to locate where the millions of rays being cast hit the millions of triangles in the scene geometry. When there are intersections, that same shader program has to also be doing its usual work of shading the scene, using texture and lighting information and the like.
And
what I like about this is, what I really like about this is they're just being honest about the limitations that we're hitting. And I think this is actually a really, really important thing to do as we head into, the new generation, the new marketing, the new expectations that are being set. I actually think this is really important to do. You have to set market expectations by being frank and by being honest about where we are, okay? I think that is needed. Because I do think, by and large, if you're going to be marketing new technology and that new technology is meeting pain points, you need to talk about those pain points with the public. You need to let the public know, like, look, this is one of the ways that we've been sort of struggling to make things look better, to make things look prettier. We're running into these bottlenecks. We're running into these challenges. Okay, we're about halfway through the video. And I think that's a good thing to do, because I've been continuing to tell people this. I've said, listen, the next thing that they're doing, the next hardware that they push to you, I'm here to tell you they're not going to be stressing native res. They're not going to be stressing just, throwing frames and res at your face. They're going to be talking about visual lift with lighting, with upscaling, with path tracing. This is where visual lift and visual quality will be improved. They're not going to be like, you're going to get 8K 120. Like, that will be maybe in the conversation, but I don't think it's going to be the focal point anymore. I don't think some of you understand how far ahead of consoles top-end PCs are, says Zubair. It's not perfect, but let me look up teraflops really quickly. Here's the real thing that I think is going to happen. And this is just a little prediction that I'm going to make here. But I think visual fidelity, I think image quality, I think that gap will become undistinguishable to the average person. Now, I'm using my words very carefully here, okay? Image quality, okay, I'm talking about image quality, the gap between like image quality on a PS6 and a high-end rig at that point in time, I think it will be indistinguishable to the average person. I'm not saying it won't be there. I'm saying the average person isn't going to be able to see the difference. And once you win that fight, there's no reason to really even do the comparisons anymore, because the average person's going to say, well, a PlayStation 6 is $600 and I can throw it in my living room and it looks ridiculous on my television. I mean, I saw a guy geeking out about Ghost of Yotei in a short this morning that somebody sent me a DM of, and he's standing in his living room and he's like, gee, many Christmas. Like, look at this, look at this. Like, you know, they're not talking anytime soon. This is years away. Spoilers. Who said, is somebody putting spoilers in the chat? Spoilers about what? I agree, it'll look just as good on console as PC, but it's 60 FPS instead of 240. Right, and that's where you're going to be able to push things, and that's where you're going to be able to advance things on a higher-end rig. I'm going to keep coming back to the average consumer, the average person, the average gamer. It will be indistinguishable to them. They'll be like, it looks the same. Why would I spend $3,000? Why would I spend $2,000 for a top-of-the-line PC? Remember, I'm talking top-of-the-line here. I'm not talking about, like, bargain hunting to find something comparable to the console. I'm talking, if you want the top-of-the-line console, if you want the top-of-the-line PC to push the absolute best in graphical fidelity and quality and lighting, if you put that side-by-side with the PS6, my prediction is that the average person's going to say, I don't see the difference. I maybe see it a little bit. I don't see a difference worthy of an extra $2,000. They're going to say PS6 all the way. It's cheaper and I can throw it in my living room. It's less complicated. It's easier to manage, whatever. The person in gaming in their living room will have to pick their jaw up off the floor. Yes, I think that's where we're headed. I think we're headed in a direction right now. If I invited the average person, the average gamer, into my house, and I showed them Ghost of Yotei on my television, on my PS5 Pro, and then I showed them, the best looking game I could on my 5070 Ti, right? Or whatever I have. I don't even remember what I have. A 5070, 5090. What the frick did we buy? Whatever we bought. I bring them in here into my office, and maybe I show them Horizon Forbidden West with everything cranked on my 50 series card. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, it looks the same to me. It looks good. They both look good. And the difference in price is staggering. I think that's where we're headed. And I think that's a great place to be. If you guys have not hit the like button yet, do me a favor and hit that like button. Try and get us to 200 likes really, really quickly. Thanks for the strong turnout for a second segment today that we kind of threw together.
We spent the past 2 years rethinking the entire path tracing pipeline from hardware to software. Earlier this year at Computex, we introduced neural radiance caching, a key part of FSR Redstone. Now, we're building on that with Radiance Cores, a new dedicated hardware block designed for unified light transport. It handles ray tracing and path tracing in real time, pushing line performance to the whole new level. Together, these form a brand new rendering approach for AMD.
I want to comment on that in just a second. Julio says they won't. Try running a game at high detail on a console versus a PC. You get like 30 FPS on a crap console. You get like 200 on a PC. I mean, what you're saying is demonstrably false. I could show somebody right now Yotei with global illumination, ray tracing, running, and it's a locked 60 FPS. I could do the same thing with AC shadows. And I'm telling you, the average person, it's not going to be a distinguishable difference between my 5070 Ti running Horizon Forbidden West. I could show them burning shores in my living room on my Pro, bring them into my office, show them burning shores on my 5070 Ti, and the average person's going to go, it looks basically the same to me. It looks the same. And again, you got to hear me. I'm speaking very specifically. The average person, yes, the tech enthusiast, yes, the PC master race, yes, the guy that builds his own rig, he's going to see the difference. He will. But I'm telling you, average consumers going to see these presentations. They're going to see side-by-sides. They're going to see games running on the Pro or the PS6, and they're going to be like, we're in the promised land, baby. That looks incredible. They're not going to see this difference. Now, this new thing they're doing with Radiance cores and having dedicated hardware or dedicated parts of the GPU for the ray tracing, this is going to be a continued benefit to the future console, because you're not going to be having that weight of path tracing and ray tracing like pulling down your performance, because you're going to have dedicated hardware. Elements of the hardware are going to be dedicated to it. That's a huge win, and hopefully this gets implemented in the PS6 and not just the AMD GPUs. The console version would look blurry? No, it would not. What you're saying is literally false. You can literally look at tech breakdowns right now of AC Shadows and Ghost of Yotei on a PS5 Pro. It doesn't look blurry. You're saying things that are not true. You've got to catch up with where things are right now. This idea that consoles just perpetually are bad because someone told you that is simply untrue. The fidelity and performance we're getting on consoles right now, especially the PS5 Pro, which is basically the first shot across the bow for next gen, the PS6 is going to be even better. I'm telling you, average consumer, average gamer is not going to be able to see these differences. They will be there. High-end PCs will obviously be better in these departments, but the average consumer isn't going to be able to see.
His cores takes full control of ray transversal, one of the most compute-heavy parts of the process. And that frees up the CPU for geometry and simulation, and lets the GPU focus on what it does best, shading and lighting.
Wait, chill, look at Silent Hill F, it's blurry on console. Picking a particular game that has a particular problem is not what I'm talking about. Engage with what I'm saying. I can show somebody Assassin's Creed Shadows with GI turned on, Yotei with GI turned on. I could take them to Burning Shores and Horizon Forbidden West on a Pro. Solid 60 FPS, beautiful games with beautiful lighting systems. And then I could bring them in here and show them the same game on my 5070 Ti, and the average consumer is going to be like, it looks the same to me. They would never say it looks blurry. Nobody's going to describe 60 FPS as blurry. That's ridiculous to even say. No one's going to say that. You guys are saying things that only get clapped and applauded and cheered for by people who cannot admit where consoles have arrived. Like, the PS5 Pro is a very impressive piece of technology, and I think people hate the fact that it's achieved what it's achieved because it doesn't line up with everything that you've been told, and it doesn't line up with all the nonsense that people have been spreading since it was announced. That's the problem. You're not dealing in facts, and you're not dealing in observation. You're dealing in basically weird forms of ideological propaganda. I'm speaking straight faced about the tech and what it can do. That's all I'm saying. And you guys are acting like, well, no, it'd be blurry, it'd be bad because it's a console. That doesn't even make any sense. There are tech breakdowns of these games right now on the Pro, and you would never describe the performance of these games as blurry. That's a ludicrous thing to claim. I agree when it comes to first-party Sony games, but third-party looks like a blurry mess. This, once again, is false, and you are not listening, and you are not engaging with what I'm saying, okay? Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there's been a handful of others, but Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best example. That's a third-party game that looks remarkable. It looks incredible on the Pro. You are literally talking out of your rear end if you're going to try to claim that, oh yeah, all the third-party games look blurry on the PS5 Pro. You're basically lying. That's not true. That's not true. There's 100 PS5 Pro enhanced games. There's been a handful that have had performance problems that had to be addressed. Nobody in their right mind would say, yeah, all the third-party games are blurry on the Pro. You're just speaking nonsense that isn't rooted in fact or analysis.
Result, a cleaner, faster, and more efficient pipeline built for the next generation of ray trace games.
AC Shadows is an exception? No, it is not. It is not. You can list a handful of games that have had problems with PSSR implementation, okay? You can list a handful of games that have had issues. But by and large, the vast majority, I mean the vast majority of games on Pro are looking perfectly fine. They don't have performance issues. They're not blurry. Like you guys are saying things that aren't true. There is a laundry list of videos and tech breakdowns out there from outfits like Digital Foundry showing how good these games look on the Pro. They've never been described as blurry. They've never been described as not running well. Yes, you've had games like Silent Hill, Metal Gear, and others that have implemented the technology poorly. There's maybe 5 games since the Pro has come out that you could list that have had problems. There's like 90 that look great, like Space Marine 2 as an example, No Man's Sky as another example. There's plenty of games that look fantastic. Alan Wake 2. They have been highly praised for their implementation of the PS5 Pro tech. The vast majority of the games that you go and look that have been done, that they've had the tech breakdowns. Yeah, Final Fantasy, another third-party game. Do you see what I'm saying? When you actually deal in facts and analysis and observation and not just these weird diatribes that are sweeping and untrue, you start to realize that maybe what you're saying is something that you're just repeating that somebody else said that's not actually grounded in reality. Stellar Blade is another example. That's not a first-party PlayStation studio, and look at what they achieved on the Pro.
There's a significant speed boost that comes from putting the traversal logic in hardware, and a further boost that comes from having that hardware operate independently from the shader cores. On top of those performance increases, there's other features in the works too, such as flexible and efficient data structures for the geometry being ray traced. Overall, I'm really looking forward to the time when we can get Radiance cores into the hands of game creators.
So clearly, if Cerny is saying that, then their plan is to have these Radiance cores in future PlayStation technology. Like, they're not just going to be having this be proprietary to the GPUs, right? Like, maybe it's just lazy devs. I don't think devs are lazy. I think it's new technology. New technology always has birth pains. We saw birth pangs. We saw this with DLSS in its early iterations. We saw this with FSR in its early iterations. Some of the devs were inexperienced with PSSR, right? Like, look at what the guys from Black Ops said. Okay, so the developers from Call of Duty developed proprietary, I think it was like anti-latency tech or something that they developed that was proprietary for the PS5 Pro. In conjunction, they co-developed it with Sony. Okay, now, in addition to that, they also did an interview where they said that they had discovered some of the PSSR needed to be gone through a denoising process, which they had fixed, implemented, and has since been patched. And that game looks great on the PS5 Pro. So that was a developer giving you kind of an inside, some inside baseball into what had happened with the implementation of the technology. So I don't think the devs are necessarily lazy. I think devs are new to the tech, and they have to kind of figure out the rough edges, the smooth edges, the tricks of the trade. We've seen this before with implementations of DLSS, ray tracing, and FSR. Your early implementations have trouble, and then the later implementations and iterations and updates get better with time. Zubair says it's not laziness. We've gone from totally baked lighting to totally real-time dynamic lighting. It looks 10% better, but it takes 100% more horsepower. Right. Guys, if you have not hit the like button yet, do me a favor and hit the like button. I'm pausing the thing that nobody likes, all right? Do me a favor and hit the likes, because nobody likes those things.
We're excited to see how developers push ray tracing and path tracing even further with these tools. And here's the thing. Whether it's ML or ray tracing, they both hit the same bottleneck. Current GPU memory bandwidth limitations hinder the seamless adoption of next-gen rendering techniques, requiring significantly more bandwidth to handle 4K plus textures and ray tracing denoising masks for smooth asset streaming. And that's where a final piece of news comes in. And yeah, it's a big one.
With current GPUs, including the ones in PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro, we have something called DCC, or Delta Color Compression. It's a strategy that reduces the memory bandwidth consumed when the GPU is reading or writing certain data, such as textures or render targets.
And what we've built for future GPUs and SoCs take the idea of data compression much further. We call it universal compression. It's a system that evaluates every piece of data headed to memory, not just textures, and compresses it whenever possible. Only the essential bytes are sent out, which dramatically reduces memory bandwidth usage. That means the GPU can deliver more detail, higher frame rates, and greater efficiency.
So what this means is, to say it another way, I mean, I think they're making it pretty clear, but they're basically saying this is like when DLSS was getting a ridiculous amount of output from like a gaming laptop. They did like a test with like Death Stranding 1 and a gaming laptop, and it was like DLSS 3, 2, or 4 or something. It was one of the DLSS's updates, and they got a ridiculous output from pretty weak hardware. What this is saying is they're going to be able to get more out of the hardware. Like they're going to be able to empower the hardware to do more by putting less strain and less usage of the memory. So that's another way that they're able to get around what would essentially be bottlenecks. You know, you're not having to worry about the hardware itself not being able to keep up with what people want. And this is another thing that I think that's good for them to stress now. Start letting people know now, like, we're not just pushing raw power. We're developing technology to make the power more efficient, right? Look, more focus on data speed and compression. Right, like it's more about making things faster and more efficient. It gives you more headroom so performance is better while they are improving and turning all of these things up. Image quality, things like that. AMD is years behind NVIDIA. I mean, from everything I read, FSR4 really pulled things back into a tighter race. Not that they're ahead, but I think the race is tighter than it was, and it's because of FSR4. From my understanding, they figure out how to make micro compression. Folks complain that games take too long to make. These devs spend 5 to 7 years of their life on a project and get called lazy. Well, yeah, that's why I said I don't ever think it's typically like lazy devs. At least not in my experience. I don't think that, you know, devs are typically out here just being lazy. I think they're new to technology and implementation is sometimes not very smooth. So my buddy bought a Skytech pre-built from Walmart with a 5070 for $1,000. A 5070 will smoke a Pro, and the Pro is $800 now and not $700. The Pro is $750. So okay, let's actually correctly state prices here. It's not $800. It's $750. It went up by $50. And I would want to see the entire specs of a $1,000 pre-built PC from Walmart that you're claiming can smoke a Pro. I would want to see the rest of the tech outlined on that. So you can slap a 5070 into a $1,000 pre-built Walmart build, but I'd want to see some benchmark tests on that rig to see what it's truly capable of, because I would be worried about a bottleneck somewhere. That seems like a really low cost. My 5070 Ti pre-built from Best Buy was like $2,300. Like, I was like, I'm 2.5 times more expensive than that Walmart PC. I don't know about that. I would be curious where the bottleneck is, because that's got to have one.
Number 2, I'm really looking forward to what improvements universal compression will bring, and to what degree the effective bandwidth of the GPU will exceed its paper spec.
He had me look at the build, and it's actually impressive. A 7800X3D, 5070, 32 gig RAM, 2 terabyte. How did he get that for $1,000? That sounds like the build that I bought for $2,300. A 7800X3D, isn't that what I got, or did I get a 7900? I can't remember what we bought, but that sounds like you overpaid. I don't think I overpaid, Cobra Kai. Everywhere we looked, the build that I bought was the exact same price. Everywhere. It didn't matter where it didn't matter where we went. It was roughly in the same ballpark. I don't think I overpaid. I wonder if I've either got the tech wrong. I wonder if I've got the tech wrong or he got an amazing deal. Because at the time that I priced this, everywhere I went, this rig was around $2,200. Everywhere. Now, mine could be stronger than I stated. I don't know. But that build that he got for $1,000 seems like an insane deal.
There's a multitude of benefits from this, including lower power consumption, higher fidelity assets, and perhaps most importantly, the synergies that universal compression has with neural arrays and radiance cores.
Hang on, before they continue. Zubair says, you got a 7800X3D. That sounds like an absolute steal. I couldn't match that price if I stole a case and a power supply. That's what I'm saying. I feel like we're either getting bad info, right? Or it was mispriced or something. No, he got a 7800X3D and a 5070 for $1K. That doesn't pass the smell test. That seems so low in price. It's a deal of a century? That's what I'm saying. That's an insane deal. I don't know. We'll look into that in just a second.
We work to deliver the best possible experiences to gamers. Overall, it's of course still very early days for these technologies. They only exist in simulation right now, but the results are quite promising, and I'm really excited about bringing them to a future console in a few years' time.
We feel the same way, Mark, and we're so excited to bring these innovations to developers across every gaming platform. Because this isn't just about silicon, it's about empowering the creators and communities that make gaming what it is. And we're just getting started. As we continue building with close partners like Sony, everything we're doing is focused on one thing, pushing games forward for all of you.
Wired Rope says GPU prices came down and the Super Series of graphics cards is right around the corner, so they're unloading all the GPUs. So that doesn't sound like what he got is demonstrative of the market. It sounds like it was like an opportunity and he got a really, really great deal. I don't think that's a demonstration of what's capable in the markets typically. Like in 2 years being like, well, let's just say in 3 years being like, oh, I'm going to be able to buy a rig for $1,000 that's going to be able to blow the PS6 away. That's possible. But generally with the way prices have gone on hardware recently, it's really, really difficult to get a rig that strong for that price. I mean, he got an absolute steal. If it's a 5070 but not a 5070 Ti, yeah, I don't know, Paul. Maybe he didn't say.
Gaming has always been at the heart of what we do, and it's never meant more than it does right now. We're here for the players, the creators, and the communities that make this industry matter. And everything we're building is for you. Thank you, Mark, so much for taking time to join me here today.
Thank you, Jack.
I just want to point out something.
Thank you, Mark.
Look how enormous those mugs are. Those mugs are huge. I mean, if you filled that with coffee, that's like 3 servings of coffee. Zubair, is that how big your coffee mug is? I mean, that's huge. Listen, I gotta say, I feel like that's really, really encouraging that they are already doing the thing that I said they were going to do. I said, listen, they're going to have to push away from all this talk about native and all this talk about raw power. They're going to have to move away from it. They're not going to be able to market these things the way that they used to. I got to add a timestamp to the previous stream. Let me do that really quickly. Okay, so it's going to be at 44. It's going to be at 40:46. Intro and discussion, 40:46. Expedition 33. DLC and more. Okay, there we go. It already processed that video, so that video is probably going to go nowhere, but we'll see. It's a good thumbnail and a good topic, and so is this. This has been really fun that we pivoted like this. We should probably try and give ourselves this ability to do this more often when something like that drops. If you guys haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. We can continue discussing this, obviously, and debating this. We reacted to the Project Amethyst video from PlayStation, Mark Cerny and AMD sitting down to talk. And a lot of you guys found this on your homepage or through Suggest, so welcome on in. Video, informative and fairly exciting presentation of new technology developments. Yeah, I think it looks great. Lono, look at the size of that mug. I could take a bath in it. I think that's the kind of reaction you guys should come to expect from me. That's the kind of highbrow content that I deliver. That, you know, I'm listening to these two gentlemen talk about this amazing tech, and I'm like, dude, those mugs are really, really, they're really, really big. So, being agile does help. Loved this video. Yeah, this was really, really fun. I mean, we don't always have the opportunity to do this, but with what I do, it's really, really difficult to like throw something together ad hoc like that, and you know, being able to pivot like that's not always easy. Mark also said console in a few years. Where did he say that, Pac-Man? Did he say that at the end? If he said a few years, then that wouldn't be 2027. That wouldn't be 2027. That'd be 2028. Right? Does he say that at the very end of the video?
Because this isn't just about silicon. It's about empowering the creators and communities that make gaming what it is. And we're just getting started. As we continue building with close partners like Sony, Everything we're doing is focused on one thing, pushing games forward for all of you. Gaming has always been at the heart of what we do, and it's never meant more than it does right now. We're here for the players, the creators, and the communities that make this industry matter. And everything we're building is for you. Thank you, Mark, so much for taking time to join me here today.
Thank you, Jack.
Let's focus gaming.
Well, it's of course still very early days for these technologies. They only exist in simulation right now, but the results are quite promising, and I'm really excited about bringing them to a future console in a few years' time.
He says, okay, so, I don't think a few years is two. No. I think when somebody says few, they're thinking 3 or more, right? I think he's thinking 3 or more. I'm telling you, I've said this for a while. I think that 2027 timeline is too fast. I think it's too fast. I think 2028 is when the PS6 lands. When they were halfway through this gen, it was 2024, and they said we're entering in latter half. That would mean 4 more years would put us at 2028. Lono, the cheapest 5070 Ti with a 7800 X3D in Canada right now converts to $1,500, and that's on a save $250 deal. For whoever got that PC at $1,000, I'm calling cap or crazy steal. That's what I'm saying. Like, they either got lucky or, I don't know. They either got lucky or they again, I don't think that's demonstration of like what the market can do. Wired Rope says pull up Moore's Law is dead. What's Moore's Law? What's he got? What video in particular do you think we should be looking at? I don't want to look at the Xbox Magnus. That's not on topic for this thumbnail and topic. It was 1,200. Paul found it for 1,200, not 1,000. And I buy power at Walmart with all those specs. Check Discord. Thank you, Hadigan. Is there a video in particular you think we should be looking at here, Wired Rope? Which one are you thinking? The AMD's future Zen 6 RDNA 5? He gets into a lot of stuff that won't necessarily be relevant to this. I can listen to Cerny all day. Yeah, Cerny has a really, really good speaking voice. I agree. Xbox Magnus is going to be a USB stick. You didn't want to watch Magnus? It's not relevant to this topic and thumbnail. I don't want to do that to this video. That would make no sense. So, I mean, we might not even want to belabor the point. I don't really know what the call is right now. Gaming news is just non-existent. Other than the things that we've already talked about. I don't want to keep retreading the topics. I also don't know what to do with this stream now. We've had a really, really great turnout. We've had a great video. I don't want to belabor it. I feel a pissed off Cerny would be relaxing. Every time I see Mark Cerny, I think of Dana Carvey. For sure. For sure. He definitely has that appearance and he has that look and vibe. Oh, wait. We've got some gifted members coming in. Stone Spire gifted 2 and got us a 215. He's trying to bait a 10 bomb, and then Raphael's going to gift 1 to 216. 60 hours in Yote. I've only killed 2 members of the Yote 6. And a member plus comes in from Darren. Thank you so much for 16 months. Welcome in. Yeah, I'm 30 hours into Yote, and I've only got 2 stripes on my belt for the Yote 6. Yeah. Similarly. Air Fuego. I'm not saying that out loud, but that's pretty good. Are you getting streamers to say that? That's a pretty good joke. I'm going to give you full marks for that. That's very creative. If you came up with it, congrats. If you didn't come up with it, it's still very funny. He says, can you repeat after me? He says, what term do you call a person who can't stop drinking coffee, drinking caffeine? Addicted. What do you call a person who can't stop doing the same thing over and over? Addicted. What hit me in the face last night? No, that's good. That's good. I hope you're getting clips of streamers actually falling for it. That's one of the more creative ones I've seen. Power never mattered before, says Broken Messiah. I don't know why gamers keep thinking it will eventually. The consoles that sell are the ones with compelling games. People are truly power hungry, aren't even on a console. I mean, I think it's a blend of two different things. I think it's a blend of two different things. I think you definitely have to have tech that games are leveraging. Like if you want games to be talked about, if you want games that are going to go, the distance, then you gotta have the tech to make it look impressive. You can't just be like, oh, hey, we're making a great game. Like it's both, right? The great game oftentimes is leveraging the new tech. He had me look at the build and it's actually impressive. I told him to buy it ASAP. It might be a pricing error. Yeah, if he got that build for 1,000, it could have been a literal pricing error. It could have been some kind of a combo deal where they had a bunch of discounts applied and maybe they're now gone because now people are finding it for like 12 and 1,300. So, yeah. Yeah. Looks like Madam's getting Friday night off. I mean, you guys are going to need some of the biggest gifters ever to save your bacon at this point because we need another 280 members. This is the slowest member week we've probably had in years. I don't know. I think missing Tuesday just killed us. Like, I think our momentum, we just died. We came back Wednesday and we just couldn't get any momentum. And I don't want to belabor it and keep talking about it. I don't want to make the stream about that. It's usually just something that kind of happens on its own. So Cobra Kai just pointed me to another deal that's just as absurd. The total price is the cost of the CPU and the GPU alone. And Joker Quinn's going to try and stoke the fires once more. He gives the member to 218. Really just want a console that will play all of our old games without games from the console being excluded. Yeah, I mean, the PlayStation had its issues with what, like, the PS3 architecture or whatever. That's one of the reasons why a lot of those games aren't back compat. I mean, there's a, I think doing total back compat's always going to be a bit of a challenge. You're always, I think you're always going to be dealing with a expectation versus reality scenario, right? Like people buying a new device and being like, yeah, I better be able to play all of my previous games. I think that's a fine expectation to have, but I think it's just it's something that we know Xbox is working on tech specifically for it, and we know PlayStation is trying to resolve it as well. But it doesn't seem to be easy. It seems to be, a pretty significant challenge. I know you're pretty passive about Marathon, but I feel you could do a pretty big, beefy stream on it and bring in an audience. There's a lot of leaks and details that are only talked about by the core community. I had Marathon on the thumbnail for Monday, and we barely talked about it. I don't think anybody freaking cares about that game. I think there's a core community that does, but I think the rest of us are just kind of shrugging at that game. We just do, like, everyone's just kind of like, who cares kind of a thing, Cobra Kai knows a guy. Where was he when I bought my PC? I don't know. Forgot I got Twitch Amazon Prime membership, says Broken Messiah. The problem with Marathon is they didn't even try and sell us the game. I don't even know anything about it beyond that it's an extraction shooter. I signed up, but I doubt Bungie will let me in. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it. I can't keep saying the same thing, you know. And a 20 bomb comes in from Brains 84. Boom. 238. I know how YouTube a member. Maybe you guys could get a little thing started here, man. Those 20 bombs add up. So do 5, so do singles. We will see. We will see. I think that's the first 20 bomb of the week. I don't know. Have we gotten a 20 bomb prior to now? I think we've been getting some 5s and 10s. That might be the first big one of the week. Thank you so much for doing that, Brains. Brains84 says, let's get this train moving. He's calling for some help. Whether it comes from Twitch or YouTube, we shall see. We already have 200 likes on the video, guys. Thanks so much. Try to get us to 300. The video, they had wasted time explaining what an extraction shooter is, not why I should play this one. Yeah, personally, I don't think they should have even drilled down on that. I think they should have drilled down on how the game was going to make you feel and less about what kind of game it is. You know what I mean? And a single gifted comes in from Joker Quinn and bumps the line to 239. Thank you so much, Joker Quinn. I think that's always a challenge when you're marketing something. Like if you focus too much on like what its capabilities are, it can be kind of like almost like too descriptive. Like if you look at like how Apple markets its phone, it's usually a very like experiential video. It's like they show the phone, they show it being used, they show people laughing, they show people at parties, all that. I don't necessarily think that you need to go into like the depth and the detail. And Stone Spire is going to try to bait a big bomb as well, a 10 bomb to 250. We'll see if anybody takes the bait. And thank you guys so much. A bit of a different day here. We bounced from one subject to the next. We were talking about Expedition 33, and then we jumped over to this stream to talk about the Project Amethyst video and PlayStation 6. And I actually owe you guys a member for the earlier milestone. I'm going to pay that up now. Thank you so much for doing that, YouTube. As someone that watches a lot of hardware keynotes, that was not how AMD normally talks. That was all Sony language. AMD talks about engineering. Sony talks about experience. Yeah, Sony very much seems like they're kind of taking a page out of the Apple playbook and how they're sort of positioning their devices and positioning themselves in the market and how they talk. They're not saying how many gigs. It's about how many songs you can get. 1,000 songs in your pocket, right? Do you stream on X and Kick? No, I do not. I stream on Purple and YouTube. That's it. X has potential. I don't know. The difficulty with X is the few times we tried it, I couldn't get a good connection to their ingest servers. And it's also a really crappy platform full of hate. So... Moore's Law did a somewhat recent video on the PS6 specs. Definitely worth a watch. I think we already watched that a while ago, didn't we? Apple never tells you how much RAM is in the phone. No. And they never tell you, like, all of the tech breakdown of the camera. They just show you what it can do. They're showing you, they're selling you the experience of, like, how it is to use that camera. So... X streaming as a viewing experience sucks. Every single time I've seen somebody streaming on X, it looks like glitchy, stuttery, and bad. Like it never looks like it's going very well. So I haven't put a lot of time and effort into trying to stream over there for that reason. Whenever we did it, I had all kinds of trouble, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is worth it. So. And a 10 bomb comes in from Rissick. He takes the bait that Stone Spire set up. I was trying to remember who did the setup. Thank you so much, Stone Spire. Stone Spire's not the only one doing the setups anymore, and we're now at 250. We are officially halfway to the goal, and it's Thursday. So very different week this week. Last week, I think we were halfway to the goal on like Monday or Tuesday. So we're a little behind the 8 ball. If you guys want that Friday night spooky stream, I owe you guys a member for 250. Thank you so much, Rissick, for doing that. YouTube's running away with the contest today. Twitch has gifted 15 members or renewed 15 members altogether, and 73 for YouTube. Yeah, what's good, Sven? I see you saying test over here. I think a Destiny extraction shooter would work better. They already got the loot. And Rissick does a single. He goes Agent of Chaos. He's like, well, let's bump the line by 1 to 251. It's worse than viewing videos on an iPod Nano. Well, geez. All right. You really don't want that General X crowd here either? Yeah. Are you going to find any of the new YouTube Live features useful? Yes, Leviathaner. I think being able to stream in both vertical and horizontal will be really helpful to us. It'll just put us in front of more people. YouTube also has to fix live stream discoverability because, like, we've really found it very hard to get consistent turnout. Like, some days I'm like, oh wow, we got a really great turnout today, and then today we picked Expedition 33 as a topic, which I thought, surely after an entire year of people talking about it, that'll be a good single topic. The turnout was freaking terrible. We switched to this reaction video and we like doubled our viewership. So again, I can't predict anymore like what the platform wants, what the audience wants. I'm just doing my thing. So, Xbox founder describes Game Pass price hikes as greed over gaming. Insider did an article on Laura's video. Yeah, it's a good video. I think we might do a day where I just loop back and react to her video, Maddie Plays video. I need one more video, and we've got ourselves a full stream. Like, we've got ourselves a full stream. Like I said, I don't want to loop back to Xbox, but their videos were too good to ignore. They were too good to ignore. Have you guys seen anybody else reacting to the Game Pass situation that you felt like was a really good video? I thought Maddie Plays video was excellent. I thought Laura Fryer's video was excellent. I'm not sure if you guys have watched anybody else. Never seen you wear a Skyrim shirt. It looks dope. This is actually a really old shirt that I recently found it again. Like, I'm not really sure what happened. And Terminal Stupidity gifts a 10 bomb over here on purple and gets us to 261. And he's got purple back in contention. Basically a 50 bomb to take the lead from YouTube. We shall see. We shall see if you guys can summon a 50 bomb on either platform. I know the perfect video. BRB, I'll find it. Okay. A Jennifer English video. Any video. All the changes are very not pro-consumer. Right. I watched a few Xbox Game Pass videos, but they all just seem very repetitive. I thought the reason I wanted to do the Maddie Plays video and the Laura Fryer video is they're very different in how they talk about it. It wouldn't be repetitive. That's why I was kind of asking you guys, do you feel like anybody else did a really good video about it? Because again, I don't want to get trapped in like in the repetition. Sven says, I was on Twitch before Twitch was Twitch. Yeah, that's correct. A lot of people were on it back then during the Justin TV days. Look up the background NPC and pick a good topic. Her videos are perfect for discussion. No, I'm good. I would prefer to react to something else. There's a lot of hype around BF6 right now. I know that's not something you're interested in, though. I mean, I'm interested in playing it. I was really interested in the frickin' the campaign. I can't talk all of a sudden. I was really interested in the campaign. It looks like the review score is really settling in a good place. You know, mid 80s is great for Battlefield. 84, 88, 84. 84 on OpenCritic. I think this is a great score. I don't necessarily think that's worthy of a show. I'll play it on Friday, but like, what's the vibe? What's the vibe of what? Yeah, I wouldn't want to react to that channel rise, like calling Yote evil and saying that developers are rotting our industry. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in that content funnel. I don't. It's predictable. It's not facts based. I have zero desire to watch that kind of content. The player reviews will be much higher. IGN gave the Battlefield 6 campaign a 5 out of 10. Battlefield will be hyped for a few months and die. Yeah, I don't know what the long tail engagement's going to look like for the multiplayer in Battlefield, but I definitely know that... hang on, let me close this up here. I definitely know that it's doing way better than, the previous Battlefield. So tired of that content in regards to games and gaming. Yeah, I just don't have any interest in all the they language that people want to use. They're so negative, and the industry sucks. I don't have any interest in watching that kind of content. They're not saying anything. It's like a pre-written platitude, and everyone parrots it. And I can't take it. I can't take it seriously. I don't think it's good faith. I think a lot of it's just angry clicks, Everything's terrible. Everything sucks. Like, okay. I think Battlefield will do well thanks to COD. Waiting for what they do with the BR mode. The thing that I really, really think Battlefield can most successfully do is just take attention away from COD. I don't think it can rival COD. I think it can definitely take a lot of attention away from COD, though. Erica for the win review on Yote was pretty good. I've not seen that. I'm not going to watch reviews because I'm worried about spoilers. The real reason Xbox Game Pass prices are skyrocketing. This is from More Perfect Union. Do they have a longer video to react to? Or is this all they've done? Is this short? I don't want to react to it. To a short. I mean, I could throw it up on the screen right now, but I was looking for actual videos. Okay. We don't need a third video. I mean, Laura Fryer's video and Maddie Plays video would be enough, but I kind of like grabbing 3. I like the rule of 3, Oh, her review has no spoilers? I'm not sure what we're going to do tomorrow, given the news cycle. I really want to do a reaction to Skill Up's review, and I don't want to pre-watch it. I watched the first 2.5 minutes, and we got into a really great, spicy debate this morning, and I really like his content, and I really respect him. I think that could be an amazing stream tomorrow, but tomorrow's Friday, and I think people are going to expect me to play the Battlefield campaign tomorrow. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I kind of don't want to. I 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 don't want I'm not in the mood. I'm gonna play it for an hour and then go right back to Yote, and I'll probably never come back to it. I don't really know what the call is. I'm 20 hours in Yote, still haven't taken down one of the Yote 6. I was curious if you were going to give it a shot. I was really excited for it, but like I'm so torn right now. Like I'm going from Yote 30 hours, over 30 hours of Borderlands with my wife. Like I don't have time for another game right now. I'm going to play Battlefield for an afternoon and probably never go back to it. What about Angry Joe, Yang Ye, or Destin's views of Game Pass? First one's just an angry rant. The other two are mixed. I like Joe Vargas. I like Angry Joe, but he wouldn't be good for reaction content because, yeah, he's going to probably just rant. I'll see if Yang Ya's video is one that I'd like to react to. I like Yang. How is it proper to release a campaign review of a game that is mainly a multiplayer game? I think it's a way to do a service to the community because some people don't care for the multiplayer and they only want to play the campaign. And some people don't care for the campaign. They only want to play the multiplayer. I actually think reviewing them separately is a good idea, personally. Show us more Yote tomorrow. You don't have to play Battlefield. It might be a really cohesive day to like react to Skill Up's video and then redirect everybody to gameplay. What's my wife texting me about? My wife says, if they don't like it, they can shut the frick up. That's right. I have headphones on, babe. I didn't know that you're out there. I'm honestly not expecting anything big from the campaign, but I'm going to be streaming just for the Battlefield skins. I pre-ordered it. I just wonder if I should just leave it in the backlog and then play it fresh from the beginning later on my own. I think reviewing separately is misleading. Look at Halo Infinite. It got very high campaign reviews, which people believe carried over to multiplayer. Wait. So wait, is that what the OpenCritic and Metacritic Battlefield scores are right now? Is it just the campaign? Oh, because nobody could play the multiplayer up to now. I don't agree with this at all. Derek Strickland says, Xbox exiting gaming would have such an enormously negative drag effect on the industry. Oh, I thought he was saying hardware. Sorry. That it would upend the entire thing. Y'all don't understand how big Xbox is on software and services level. It's fine to criticize, but don't call for the destruction of your hobby. I thought he was talking about exiting hardware. I was like, if they exit hardware, that's not going to upend the entire industry. I don't think they would exit gaming. They've got too much property that makes them tons of money, whether it's Call of Duty or Minecraft. Like, them exiting gaming would be really, really weird. World Renowned says, Lono, you were highlighted in this person's latest video. He's an awesome YouTuber and makes fairly high-quality videos reviewing games and covering gaming news. In his new vid, he covers Game Pass. So, am I in the video being made fun of and mocked, or is it a good video that's like charitable? Because I'm in videos all the time where it's not, I'm treated very unkind in a very unkind way. Are you talking about his Xbox is dying video? Oh, is it just like a highlight reel? It looks like he's got a bunch of people in the video. He's got Astacross in here. He's got Spawnwave. He's got Destin. He's like sitting in a diner talking. I wonder if when he does that, do like people walk by and like just like stare at him like, what the frick are you doing, bro? Where am I in the video? I don't care about all these other content creators. I only care about me. Oh, he's got an old short of mine in here. Hang on. I don't remember this. I'm wearing my Gunners. I'm wearing these old glasses. Let me tell you, the presence of Game Pass. I have an Xbox.
Are not properly supported.
There's also a strong case to be made that Game Pass devalues our entire perception of video games in their entirety.
Is he eating a salad with his hands? Bro, that's diabolical. Look at this man's eyes. That's diabolical. I have an Xbox Series X. I have Game Pass. And let me tell you, the presence of Game Pass and what it will do to the market and what it will do to consumer mentality, I actually think is fundamentally bad for the industry. Because I think you're creating people who think that video games are cheap throwaway trash that they can sample like cheap food at a buffet, and if they don't like it, no big deal. There's more things at the buffet to try, and they don't understand how much work actually goes into a game, so the value to value economic idea isn't in their brain, or it's slowly leaving their brain. They're like, what do you mean? Why would I pay for a game?
I actually think there's a lot of credence to this theory because I've experienced it myself.
I appreciate it, but why the frick are you eating a salad with your hands? Why? I end up in a video and I actually look intelligent and I know what I'm talking about, and this is what you're doing. Unbelievable. I'm glad I brought this up to your attention. Finally, Loto's getting fair, balanced coverage. Yeah, I know that clip. I remember that clip. That's actually a long time ago. That's an old video. That is an old video. Because I think it's one of my more watched vids. I want to say it's one of my more watched vids on TikTok. Let me see if I can find it. And see if I can get a date. Because I'm wearing, it's easy to find. Here it is. Okay, so I posted this. How can I see when I posted this? Oh, here we go. That's from 2022. That is 3 years old. That's a 3-year-old video. And I was like, I'm telling y'all, this creates bad mentality in gaming. You know? And this man says my theory has credence, and then he does this immediately after. Unbelievable. Lonodamus? No, Lonostradamus. Archive. Well, chat, I don't want to move on. I don't want to move on, but we might have to. It's crazy your points came to prominence. To be fair, I'm going to try eating salad with my hands and see how it is. The first video on my new channel will be me eating a salad with my hands. The second video will be a Proxmox install on a server. Going to confuse the F out of the algo. That's right. Wait, hang on. Politician renewed their membership. Member Plus. Thank you so much. That puts us at 262. Are we cooked, chat? I can't justify keeping going right now. I mean, if you guys want to stretch, we can stretch, but we've we've kind of done our best today, and that's all we can do. You know what I mean? If you guys could roll this to 3, I can extend and justify extending. But if not, we got to get out of here because it becomes counterproductive. I think the salad fingers are part of a bit from earlier in the video. Diabolical is right, though. Yeah, I've seen his videos before. He's funny. I like him. As soon as I saw his face and he was in the restaurant, I knew. I was like, oh, okay. He's not going to be rude to me, you know. I have the likeness detection turned on my channel, and I already saw a video where like I said something about how you don't pay for online, you pay for features, because everybody always says like, well, when you pay for Xbox Live or you pay for PSN, you're paying for online. I'm like, well, you're not paying for online, you're paying for features. And they're really upset that I said that because they, you know, they can't fathom that you're paying for more than just online. That's not really what you're paying for. You're paying for an entire infrastructure of features that they've built. And largely, I was always glad to have those features, especially on my Xbox, because game chat was always garbage in games back then. Like, I happily paid for Xbox Live. It was like, this is great. It gives me a great feature set. It gives me great things that help me play my games with my friends better than the games themselves do. Like, yeah, this is awesome. All right, see you later, World Renown. Yeah, you get what you paid for. Yeah, it's like game chat's free in all the games that I've played historically, and it was also historically freaking terrible. All right, I'm gonna give you guys 7 minutes to extend, and we're gonna have to get out of here and go to Green Room. This is an opportunity for you guys to upgrade to Member Plus, which I should probably schedule that with the new feature. Let me go ahead and save the Green Room thumbnail. Yes, save and replace. You can only come with us in this next segment. Pause. You can only travel to the new segment. Yeah, Absalom's getting good scores. There we go, 86, 87. I thought Absalom looked so good. That's really exciting to see it doing well. Let me use this cool new feature. Schedule a members-only live stream in 5 minutes for Member Plus and above. I'll schedule it here in 1 minute, so it'll roll over at the hour. No, pause them. Let them know what we do in the Green Room. If you guys don't want to go to Green Room, you have 5 minutes to get us 38 members, and I'll extend. I will extend. IGN gave Battlefield 6 a 5 and Concord a 7. That's a hard pause. That is a hard pause. Emphasis on hard. Okay, there we go. I'm going to schedule this. There we go. I'm going to go on the back end and rename it. Where the frick is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Change. Green Room. Save. You see my comment, Trista J. Havoc. You proved that common sense and just a little thinking will always come back to be correct. Be proud. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish it would have yielded, great results the last couple of years through like collaboration and friendship instead of hate and ridicule and targeting. Sup, chat and Lona, what's good? Xerox, thank you so much for 40 months and a VIP. I appreciate you putting us at 263. All right, you guys have 4 minutes to extend the stream, and if not, we're switching. We are switching. So tomorrow you'll react to 3 Game Pass takes. I think I could kick that to next week, and tomorrow we could react to Skill Up's Yote review and then play Yote. I don't know. We'll talk about it in Green Room. We'll think about what we want to do. I've decided I don't know if it's a smart idea to play Battlefield tomorrow for an hour. I have a greater chance of enjoying that campaign if I save it for later. I feel like I should save it for later. Read my last message. Read my last message. Read my last messages. I know this is random, but I just wanted you to know that we all appreciate what you do and your consistency. You're absolutely going places. Keep up the hard work. Well, I appreciate that. Everything this year on the back end doesn't look like I'm going places. So I appreciate your confidence, and I hope things start to change. It's not your fault or my fault. YouTube's got to fix some stuff. They really, really, man, oh man, have they hurt us this year. They've acknowledged it. We had a really good call with our partner manager. They're aware, and they're supposed to be rectifying a lot of this in the fourth quarter of the year, because it's been 3 quarters of frickin' pain is what it's been. It's been hard to keep my head up and be consistent. It's like, dadgum, I've been doing this for 10 years, and you guys are really making me doubt everything. But it wasn't just us. It affected big creators. Everybody's complaining. Add a Jennifer English video, that's right. I literally had somebody leave a comment and they said, glad to see you're back the other day. And I'm like, what? I didn't go anywhere. 56K is a lot. Homie, we hit 50K at the beginning of this year. We rolled over as a 50K channel and everything came to a screeching halt. And again, it was because of YouTube. YouTube made a bunch of terrible changes, and it took like 8 months for people to realize, because most of them don't do what we do, which is we have a heavy emphasis on members content and we do a heavy emphasis on live content. A lot of YouTubers don't do that. So it took longer for it to have ramifications on big channels. It murdered us, and we went into the summer and it got a little bit better, and then it just got bad again. So we're just staying the course and being as consistent as we can, because, you know, YouTube's doing YouTube. November, December blowing up, then Jan. Jan's usually not bad for us because there's a lot of things going on, because there's a lot of games in February, March. So there's like a lot of trailers, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of things to react to. So, all right, I'm going to put a link in chat for Green Room. It's automatic, though. It just rolls us over into the new stream. So this stream will end. If you're watching the tail end, consider supporting with a Member Plus membership or a VIP. If you're here right now, consider doing that. I need that big time. It would really make a huge difference with everything that YouTube's done. So consider becoming a member. Hit join, hit Member Plus for a cup of coffee a month, $6 a month, supports us directly. A lot of YouTubers have been stressing, go to Patreon. I got stuff on my Patreon. I do everything right here, so you don't have to go anywhere. I try to make it as convenient as possible. And we do have a Discord as well. That way you have a way to connect with the community when I'm not streaming. So in the next 10 seconds, we're going to be shifting to Green Room. And if you want to come with us, you got to be at Member Plus or higher. And there